At Fort Campbell's Silver Creek Diner, just 5 miles from the main gate, the lunch rush was winding down when trouble walked through the door. Two Delta Force operators, fresh from a grueling training rotation, scanned the small restaurant with the casual arrogance that comes from being part of America's most elite fighting force. Zephyr Gradell, 29 years old with steel-gray eyes and a build like a professional fighter, spotted her first. Behind the counter stood a young woman, maybe 28, efficiently refilling coffee and clearing plates. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, her simple black polo shirt and khakis marking her as just another diner employee. The woman was Lissandra Vespera, though everyone at the diner knew her simply as Lisa. For 14 months, she'd worked the afternoon shift, always punctual, always professional, always keeping to herself. The regular customers appreciated her quiet efficiency, but that was about all anyone knew. Gradell nudged his partner, Caius Feigenbaum, a quieter but equally imposing figure. "Look at that. Bet she's never been more than 10 miles from this place," he said with a smirk. They found seats at the counter, positioning themselves where they could watch her work. Lissandra approached with a coffee pot, her movements precise and economical. "Coffee?" she asked, simply, her voice soft but clear. "Sure thing, sweetheart," Gradell said, his tone condescending. "You been working here long?" "Long enough," Lissandra replied, pouring their coffee with steady hands. As she reached across the counter to refill a sugar dispenser, her sleeve rode up slightly, revealing the edge of something dark on her left forearm. Gradell's predatory instincts kicked in immediately. "Well, well," he said, grabbing her wrist before she could pull away. "What do we have here?" Lissandra tensed, but didn't resist as he pushed her sleeve up, revealing a tattoo on her forearm. It was a detailed raven in flight, wings spread wide, clutching a lightning bolt in its talons. Below it, in Gothic script, were the words, "Task Force Echo." The diner fell quiet as other patrons noticed the confrontation. Feigenbaum shifted uncomfortably, recognizing the dangerous gleam in his partner's eyes. "Task Force Echo?" Gradell laughed loudly. "What is that, some kind of video game guild or maybe a band name?" He looked around the diner for an audience. "Check this out, folks. Little Lisa here thinks she's some kind of operator." "Gradell," Feigenbaum warned quietly, but his partner was just getting started. "I mean, the artwork's not terrible," Gradell continued, still holding her wrist. "But seriously, honey, if you're gonna get fake military ink, at least do some research. Task Force Echo. That's not even a real unit." Lissandra's expression remained neutral, but something shifted in her eyes. "Please let go of my arm," she said calmly. "Oh, I hurt your feelings?" Gradell tightened his grip. "Listen, sweetheart, I've been doing this for 8 years. Delta Force, the real deal. I know every classified unit, every operation, every piece of authentic military history. And this," he tapped her tattoo, "this is stolen valor." The accusation hung in the air like a poison cloud. Other diners stared in uncomfortable silence. Dorothy, the older waitress, moved toward the phone behind the register. "You know what really pisses me off?" Gradell's voice rose. "Actual warriors are out there bleeding for this country, while people like you play dress-up with fake tattoos and made-up units." That's when the sound reached them. Not the familiar rumble of civilian traffic, but the deep, synchronized roar of military convoy vehicles moving in formation. Through the diner's large windows, 3 black Chevrolet Tahoes pulled into the parking lot with tactical precision. Government plates gleamed in the afternoon sun as doors opened and soldiers in dress uniforms emerged with military bearing that made every head turn in the diner. Gradell released Lissandra's wrist, his bravado evaporating as he recognized the vehicles and their obvious importance. Feigenbaum was already standing at attention, though he wasn't sure why. General Magnus Albanesi stepped out of the lead vehicle. At 56, he carried himself with the quiet authority of a man who'd commanded in every major conflict of the past 2 decades. His dress uniform was immaculate, 3 silver stars gleaming on his shoulders. He walked directly into the diner, his polished shoes clicking against the linoleum. His eyes swept the room once, found Lissandra behind the counter, and his entire demeanor changed. "Sergeant Vespera," he said, his voice carrying both respect and warmth. "It's been too long." The transformation in Lissandra was immediate and startling. Her posture straightened, her movements became crisp and military. "General Albanesi," she replied with a slight smile. "An unexpected honor, sir." Gridel's mouth fell open. Feigenbaum had gone pale. The general approached the counter, ignoring the 2 operators completely. "May I?" he asked, gesturing toward her sleeve. Lissandra rolled up her sleeve fully, revealing the complete tattoo. General Albanesi slowly rolled up his own right sleeve, exposing an identical raven tattoo. Same design, same positioning, but clearly newer ink. A collective gasp rippled through the diner. Gridel looked like he might be sick. "Gentlemen," the general said, finally acknowledging the operators, his voice arctic, "I believe you've been questioning this woman's service record." Neither man could speak. "Allow me to enlighten you. Starter Sergeant Lissandra Vespera, Army Intelligence, retired. Task Force Echo was a classified direct action unit that operated in Afghanistan and Syria from 2012 to 2018. 7 members total. Their mission parameters remain classified at the highest levels." He turned his steel gaze on Gridel. "In 2016, Sergeant Vespera's team was compromised during a hostage rescue operation outside Aleppo. She single-handedly held off enemy forces for 6 hours while evacuating wounded civilians and coalition personnel. When I was a colonel commanding the regional task force, she personally saved the lives of 18 people, including mine." The silence in the diner was absolute. The raven represents the silent watch, the guardian in darkness. Only 7 people in the world have earned this mark. Of those 7, only 4 are still alive. He looked back at Lissandra with profound respect. "This is one of the most decorated non-commissioned officers in modern military history, and you had the audacity to accuse her of stolen valor." Gridel tried to speak, but only managed a choking sound. "My office," the general continued, his voice deadly quiet. 0600 hours tomorrow, both of you. Be prepared to explain how 2 of my operators forgot that true warriors often walk among us unrecognized." Lissandra finally spoke, her voice gentle but firm. "General, if I may." He nodded. She looked at the 2 young operators, seeing not enemies, but soldiers who'd lost their way. "The service isn't about proving yourself to others. It's about being worthy of the trust placed in you. Real operators don't need recognition. They just do the job." She began wiping down the counter, returning to her routine. The raven flies silent, sees all, protects all. That's the only validation that matters. General Albanesi placed a 20 on the counter. "Coffee's on me today, Sergeant. Thank you for your continued service to this community." As he walked out with his security detail, Gridel and Feigenbaum remained frozen at the counter, their world forever changed by a quiet woman who'd been hiding in plain sight. The lunch rush at Silver Creek Diner resumed, but nothing would ever quite be the same.